Now, I know that a lot of you guys are probably wondering why I sound like this. I am just waking up. I actually got to take my car. to get washed and then take care of a few other things, but the car is literally so dirty. I know it's probably hard for you guys to see it, but it's just like freaking bugs and everything. Stop that. It's my beautiful dog. So in today's video, we're gonna go over the top 5 things that I love and hate about the car. Now, in all honesty, there's not really many things that I hate, but there are a couple of things that I'm not truly very fond of, so we're gonna kind of go over those in today's video. This is actually not even my first time making this, and when I edited the video, I just really didn't like the quality of it, so I figured I would just go ahead and make this one. And in that video, I only did my likes, I didn't do my dislikes, so I figured if I made this video, I could put my likes and my dislikes in it, so I can pretty much just cover everything in one video. So let's go ahead and get to it. So for starters, the number one thing that I love about this car, I'm not gonna lie, is the color. Because when I first bought this car, one of the things that I hated the most about it was the color. Me, my wife, and my mother-in-law all talked about how I was gonna potentially wrap the car because I did not like the color. I'm only used to owning all black cars, so I really didn't know how to feel about having a car with such a loud color on it. Now, what I will say is these are pretty common cars, especially in the US. The thing that made me love this color so much was how much people complimented it. I never in a million years thought I would get that many compliments just on the color of the car. The only other car besides mine that I've seen in person that has this plum crazy purple was one super stock that I saw, I think when I was back in Texas, and it was really dope to be able to see that car in person. That's probably one of, if not the most rare trim of these cars, whether it's Charger or Challenger. Seeing a super stock in person was pretty dope. But with that aside, I've seen these cars in almost every color in person, whether it's all black, F8 green, octane red, frostbite blue, cinnamon stick, gold mango. Like, I've literally seen it in every color that it has to offer. But for whatever reason, these plum crazy colorways just seem so rare. I never really thought about how much it would stick out, or how much attention it would get until I actually ended up buying the car. And now every time I go somewhere, without a doubt, people stop me and tell me how much they love the color. And I'm just glad that I didn't wrap it as soon as I got the car. Coming in at number 2 is going to be the sound of the car. Me personally, I knew that the very first thing that I was gonna do was get an exhaust for the car after I heard it start up. Literally had the car for like 2 days, drove it around, and I was like, nope, I can't do it. Oh dude, there's a suited up Mustang in front of me and it sounds so good. Not sure if you guys can hear it through the video, but his exhaust is freaking screaming. The MBRP exhaust that I had on my Mustang, it was absolutely amazing. I can't rave about it enough. And instead of going MBRP again, I wanted to go Corsa. I kind of made a whole video about it on my TikTok if you guys want to go over and check it out. But yeah, the exhaust note on this car with this Corsa Extreme, dude, I mean, it's absolutely wonderful. Anyway, coming in at number 3 is going to be the amount of attention that I get on this car. And I think I've referenced this already in like every video that I've made about this car, but dude, the amount of attention is absolutely unbearable. When I tell you it doesn't matter where I go, I could be going to and from work, I could be going to the grocery store, I could be going out to eat. I mean, it literally doesn't matter. I always get stopped every time I'm in this car, man. Day, night, doesn't matter. And half the reason is because of the 2 things that I mentioned earlier, the color of this car and the sound of this car. I legit just came from Milan the other day and I had like 4 people come up to me, dude. Like legit 4 people. This one guy was like waving. He was asking me like, hey man, like what do you do for work? This other guy comes up and he's like, oh man, I love your car. But he spoke Italian, so he literally broke out the translator app just to tell me that he liked the car. And he was like, man, I like rap music. Like I like Lil Yachty. I like Playboi Carti. And I'm just like, okay, sounds cool, man. I appreciate it. You know what I mean? So it happens no matter where I am. I've seen people taking pictures of the car, but I have 5% tint all the way around. So if it's nighttime and the car's not on, but it's a really dope thing because since I'm here and not in America, I know people are not approaching me with malicious intent. I always keep my radar on, like, you know, just in case, because you don't know really what people are thinking. But a lot of times people just want to tell me how much they like the car. Coming in at number 4, man, is the sunroof. Oh my gosh, the sunroof. When I tell you, I utilize this sunroof so much. I only had a sunroof on my very first car. When I told you guys that the first car that I owned was a Nissan Maxima, that was the only car that I've ever had a sunroof on. The only one. I searched high and low for all of my other cars with sunroofs and I just couldn't get it. For whatever reason, I just didn't have a sunroof on the Mustang, didn't have a sunroof on the Charger. Now what I will say is before I got that Charger, this was back in like 2015, 2016, I was trying to get an all black Challenger. And that Challenger, I believe, did have a sunroof. But it's cool, it's all good. I got this now. I got my sunroof that I wanted. so badly. And when I tell you, it makes all of the difference. For whatever reason in Italy, it feels like we really don't have a fall. It's just kind of like a little bit of winter and then it's kind of spring. There's no real fall between summer and winter. So being able to have that little bit of extra light in the car, I don't know, to you guys it may not be that bad, and on video it may not look that bad, but it just feels kind of depressing not having any real light in the car. So being able to throw that back and lighten the car up a little bit, you know, get a little bit of sunlight in, or what little bit of sunlight is out, to be able to have that come into the car. And in my opinion, at least, it is a really undervalued feature in cars, especially if you're gonna get one of these cars. I don't know, I just feel like you have to have a sunroof, man. It makes all the difference. You know, just imagine it being summertime, you got your shorty in the car, ride passenger, throw the sunroof back, let a little bit of the air in. You know, I don't know, man. If you have a nice car, you have to have a sunroof. Panoramic, well, I mean, whatever the situation is, but you gotta have some type of sunroof. At least that's how I feel. Coming in at number 5, man, is eco mode. Now, this is something that I did not know until I bought the car. If you put the car in eco mode, pretty much what it does, instead of utilizing all 8 cylinders, it just kind of utilizes 4 cylinders. So what that does is it raises the fuel economy an extreme amount. I didn't think that it really mattered that much because I was always driving my car around in either sport, track, street, something like that. I ended up taking it off of that, found out about it online, threw it in eco mode. At the time, I think I was getting like 13, maybe 13.5 miles per gallon. I drove around like that for like a week and a half, and no exaggeration, I think my miles per gallon right now is at like 20. It definitely helps, dude. It definitely helps. I drove like 3.5 hours and literally only wasted like a quarter tank because I did the whole thing in eco mode. If you don't think that it makes a difference, I am here to tell you it does. It does make a difference. I understand that everybody wants to hear the exhaust, you want to get on it, whatever. Just give it like a couple days to a week. Just a couple days to a week. Look at where you are right now for your fuel economy. Put it in auto and drive like that for like a week or two, and then come back and tell me that it doesn't make a difference. I'm telling you it does, man. That's probably one of the best features about this car. Now, does everyone know? I don't know. Maybe I'm just the only one that's behind and I just never paid attention to that. But I'm telling you, if you get one of these cars, put it in eco mode, drive with it in eco mode, it's gonna make all the difference. That's pretty much gonna conclude all of the top 5 things that I love about this car. Now we're gonna talk about the top 5 things that I'm not so fond of. So coming in at number 1 on the dislike, oh my God, the gear delay. I don't know if that makes a huge difference to a lot of people, but whenever I'm driving this car, it takes a couple seconds for it to kind of find the gear. So let's just say the car is parked and I put it in the drive. There's a little bit of a second between going from park to drive, and it may not seem like that big of a deal, but sometimes it's just very annoying. Or maybe if you're going from drive to reverse and then, you know, you're trying to back into something, it takes a couple seconds. And sometimes if you get off the brake too soon, the car can still like roll forward, you know, if you're trying to back in on a hill or something. Stuff like that just drives me crazy, dude. Like I said, I know it's not that big of a deal to a lot of people, probably not that big of a deal to anybody, but I legit just cannot stand the gear delay on this car, man. Coming in at number 2, the amount of attention that I get in this car. I understand not a lot of people have bad intentions when they're approaching me, but my senses are like heightened, dude, because every time I turn around, someone's walking up on me, someone's trying to say something to me, someone's asking me, oh, can I take a picture of the car? Can I do this? It's really cool until it's not. I feel like, and I'm not trying to say that I'm famous or anything, but I feel like that's kind of how it feels to be a celebrity. Like, it's super cool until it's not super cool. You know what I mean? Like, everybody loves all of the attention. Everybody loves taking photos with fans and stuff like that. But it gets to a point where you're like, dude, and I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying that I'm a celebrity, but I can almost imagine that's how it feels. But sometimes you really don't feel like talking about the car. Sometimes you really don't feel like stopping what you're doing. People will approach me while I'm putting groceries in the car. Sometimes I'm just sitting in the car and I want to just wait on my food or something like that. People will be like, hey man, what do you do for work? Hey man, what about this car? And it's super cool, but sometimes it can be a little annoying. As soon as one person walks off, another person walks up. As soon as I'm stopped at a light, somebody's telling me to roll my windows down. People are like, oh my God, where are you from? Oh my God, dude, I love Louisiana. And I'm like, dude, that's super cool. But right now, man, like, I'm on the phone with my wife or talking to a good friend of mine, and you know, people are just walking up to the car, and it can be very tiring. You know what I mean? Also, I don't really worry about it too much here, but if I'm not mistaken, this is like one of, if not the most stolen cars in America. So always having to remember, like, hey dude, like, what's he doing? Like, hey, what's he so close to my car for? Sometimes it can kind of like play on your psyche a little bit. Now, that's not necessarily the car's fault, but at the same time, you know, that just kind of comes with owning one of these cars, regardless of where you own it. You're always going to be a little paranoid, wondering if someone's trying to take it from you, or, you know, why they're so close to the car. I feel like if I owned a different brand of car, I wouldn't think so much like that, but you know, that's just the reality of it, man, and that just is what it is. All right, man, I already made it here to wash my car, so I'm gonna go ahead and speed this video up. Coming in at number 3 on the things that I dislike, dude, the fact that it's an 8-speed auto instead of a 10-speed. Now, for most of you guys who have watched the channel, I had a Mustang. It was a 6-speed Mustang. I had an MT82 transmission. I did not have the 10R80, but having a 10-speed, in my opinion, is so much better than having an 8-speed. I'm gonna let whoever wants to debate about that, I'm not really gonna debate about it. But what I will say is I hate the fact that it's only 8-speed. I wish it would have been 10-speed. That's something that really bugs me about this car, especially like, you know, when I'm driving and I'm hitting the paddle shifters and I get all the way to 8-speed and I'm like, damn, like I keep forgetting that it doesn't go to 9 and 10. In all honesty, I've only driven the car that fast once, and I was doing it in a safe manner. I wasn't racing. I wasn't doing it on public roads. It wasn't raining or anything. I don't ever want to put anybody in danger, nor myself. So usually I'm always really good about driving very safely. But that is one of the things that I hate about this car, the fact that it doesn't have those last 2 gears. Number 4, and honestly, I couldn't find 5 things that I really didn't like about the car. And the 4 things that I did find, I'm kind of nitpicking, but this is going to be my number 1 most disliked thing about this car, and it's the fact that they did not make it in manual. Oh my gosh, coming from driving a manual, I literally, and when I say this, I cannot say it enough, and I literally mean it with every fiber of my being. I hate not having a manual. I love my car. It's super convenient driving an automatic coming from a manual, especially like when I'm in the car with my wife and stuff. One of the things that I honestly never notice is that when me and my wife are in the car, I have my hand on her thigh, or I'm like playing in her hair or something. So the fact that I would always have to stop, downshift, and then, you know, stuff like that, it did always kind of, to a certain extent, stuff like that always did pose as somewhat of an inconvenience. Or like if I'm on the street and I'm in like 3rd or 4th gear and the car in front of me slams their brakes, I would have to hit the clutch, then get on the brake. That was something that I had to kind of adjust to over time, because, you know, when I first started driving manual, my Mustang was my first manual. So when I had to slow down, I would hit the brake and then get off of the brake. The car would jerk a little bit. I'd have to hit the clutch, put it in neutral, then stop. So that was stuff that I had to learn over time. Now that I get in my Charger, a lot of times the first thing I'll do is put my foot on the dead pedal when I realize, like, damn, I only have 2 things. I just got the gas and the brake. I don't have the clutch anymore. A lot of times I would put my car in manual mode just so I could get it in the higher RPMs and shift. And I don't know, I just, to a certain extent, I'm trying to emulate that feeling of having a manual. After a while, I honestly just had to let it go, because if you don't have a manual, you don't have a manual. Now, don't get me wrong, when you're driving, especially if you're racing, which I don't do, but if you are, having an automatic is gonna be a lot better than having a manual. Even if you have cars like the new ZL1 where it has like the no lift shift, but even then it's just, I mean, with the way that the computers are in this car, you're not gonna be able to shift faster than an automatic. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're like a freak of nature and you've been driving manuals your whole life, you may be just as fast or like a tad bit faster, but pretty much when it comes down to that category, the automatic is gonna win each time. I love driving with the pedal shifters, but it's just not the same, man. I know a guy, he's a good friend of mine. He actually traded in his Challenger Octane Red SCATPACK for a Frostbite Blue wide body Hellcat Charger. We pretty much had the same situation, going from a 2-door manual V8 to a 4-door automatic V8. And we both just say, like, man, the pedals are super fun, the manual mode is fun, but it's just, you don't feel as engaged with the car. You don't feel like you're very locked in with the vehicle. You know, I feel like I had a lot more control over my driving experience when I had that Mustang. And don't get me wrong, I love everything about this Charger, but to this day, I even still tell my wife, like, man, I really miss that Mustang. I miss shifting my own gears, man. But that's gonna be it for this video, man. I truly hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you drop a comment down below, drop a like on the video for me, and make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share with someone. Make sure you subscribe, man, so we can get to 500 subscribers before the year is out. That's my goal. I'm sitting at like 200 something right now. You got to make your goals unrealistic, you know, to give you something to strive for. So maybe 500 is a lot, I'm not sure, but I'm just gonna do my part, continue to put out quality videos, be as consistent as possible, and make sure you guys drop it down in the comments and tell me what is your 5 favorite things or your 5 least favorite things about the car. Maybe you hate this car, maybe you love it. I don't know, maybe leave some love on the video, leave some hate if you don't like the car. What is something that you feel like should have made the list? What is something on the list that you feel like you resonate with very heavily? Either way, let me know down below, and also give me some ideas for some videos to come. I truly appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.